How we doing? Can you do that? You know all that jizzy jazz. Eddie from Rhetorical Thoughts, back after a very long hiatus. I guess I'd like to apologise. We'll go into that later on. So, everyone on YouTube right now is stressing out and freaking out about PEWDIEPIE vs T-Series for a plethora of reasons, and if you haven't seen some of the tweets I've done and some, maybe the 3 videos that I've written, scrapped and not done, you'd understand that I'm invested in the T-Series vs PEWDIEPIE thing for a plethora of reasons. Now, I made a realization recently that has caused me no longer to stress, and I'm going to share that with you so that you don't have to worry about what's going on, because I know what's actually going on below the surface and what's going on in actuality and not. So essentially, what everyone's been doing over the entire course of this entire battle per se is you've been watching it as it's all been folding out in front of your eyes, but no one's ever stepped back to realize that as every single word and every single letter that is falling upon the page actually creates an overarching image and represents something much, much deeper and much, much more obvious. And it's been going on since before T-Series came into the picture. So I guess without further fluffing up this fluffing? I don't know, whatever the fuck it is. I will explain to you what has happened, what is happening, and what will happen. So today, don't think of me as Eddie from Rhetorical Thoughts. Please think of me as Nostradamical, Edstradamus. You know what, just call me Eddie. But I'm going to be like Nostradamus because I'm going to predict the future. So, what's going on? Well, to know what's going on, we need to realize what PEWDIEPIE's career actually is. And PEWDIEPIE's entire career is the Rocky franchise.
Thank you very much.
Now, before you dislike this video and click off, please hear me out. So, to understand how PEWDIEPIE's career is the Rocky franchise, and then eventually understand where we are, where we're at, and where we will go, I will explain some of the early stuff. And there might be a little bit of over-explanation, but please, it all helps and all makes sense. I apologize if you haven't seen the Rocky movies and I'm spoiling like 40-year-old movies for you, but sit on... Nah, don't do that. Okay. So let's take a logical beginning at Rocky 1. Rocky 1 follows the boxer Rocky Balboa, obviously, who's like a, you know, kind of like a journeyman fighter, but in a sense, like he travels around to boxing clubs, fights for money, and that's about that. And then on the side, or as his main hustle, I don't know, I can't remember. Probably should have watched the movies before I did this video. Anyway, he works as like as hired muscle for a local loan shark. Not that PEWDIEPIE was hired muscle for a loan shark, but anyway, he's just a man who never should make it, never could make it, never will make it. His boxing record is nothing fancy. He never doesn't fight the highest caliber of people. He's battling a bunch of injuries until one day the antagonist of the movie, Apollo Creed, steps in and he decides to show the world that he's a gracious champ by affording an opportunity to an up-and-coming nobody boxer. And just by so luck, he pulls Rocky's name out of the hat. Now, I think there was a racially charged reason for his selection of Rocky, but that's irrelevant to this. So Rocky is afforded an opportunity. The same way I think you could sort of use this as an allegory for the early stages of most YouTubers, but specifically we're talking about PEWDIEPIE, where you get your first level of success and your first sort of recognition from a community or the community in general. It could be, you know, your first 1,000 subscribers, first 1,000 views, first 100,000, whatever it is, you can sort of apply this to that. And this recognition, the same way it does for Rocky, is it inspires him to train harder than he ever has. He trains harder and pushes himself harder because he sees that he has this opportunity in front of him and he wants to capitalize off it and make the most of it. So flash forward after some amazing training montages of, you know, Rocky preparing for his fight against Apollo Creed and Rocky, you know, overcoming his inadequacies as a fighter to step into the ring against the much more athletically gifted, much more charismatic, and much more well-rounded sort of boxer as Apollo Creed. Now, the message of the first Rocky, and somewhat of all the Rockies, is, you know, it's not about winning or losing, it's about trying your hardest. And that's really, really true in this one. And that's the same way as like PEWDIEPIE's early career. He was never... I don't think he was ever really trying to be the biggest YouTuber on YouTube. I don't even think he's still trying now, but it's about him just trying his hardest, and that hard work is rewarded. Now, Rocky 1 being much more realistic, Rocky actually loses the fight, but he pushes the champ to the edge. This nobody who no one's ever heard of near beats the heavyweight champ, and then the movie ends. Oh, sorry, did I also mention that along the way he meets a soft-spoken Italian girl?
How you feeling this morning, huh? Full of life?
Fine.
Hey, how you doing, killer? How's the turtle food this week?
Fine.
Me, I'm kind of aggravated, you know?
Just saying. Anyway, flash forward a couple years later, they released Rocky 2. Now, Rocky 2 picks up where the first Rocky ends, sort of recapping the final fight between them, and then Rocky eventually losing and celebrating in the ring with Adrian and all that, and then it moves on from there. Now, Rocky's developed name, fame, and recognition the same way that PewDiePie would have. Where this gets different, because this the first one you could apply to anyone's career. Now this gets different. Rocky almost beat the champ. He broke his rib. He almost beat him. The same way PewDiePie. Maybe not almost beat. Smosh at the time, but this great deal of recognition that he would have got early in his career when he first started blowing up. It's like he grazed the Titan. So while the first half of the Rocky movie is sort of the first half of the second Rocky movie follows Rocky as he's retired and he's coming to grips with his newfound fame, and eventually losing a lot of his money and being forced back into fighting and have that rematch against Apollo Creed. I think what the first Rocky shows is the ability, and the second Rocky shows capitalizing on the ability. Because Rocky might not have been the best boxer in the ring, but he definitely had the biggest heart in that ring. And that rings even truer in the second film, where the climax of the second film is the rematch, where Rocky stands toe-to-toe with Apollo after, losing all his newfound wealth and everything like that, and being desperate again, being hungry again. He steps in the ring against Apollo Creed, and once again they go blow for blow, the same way that PewDiePie would have been going sub for sub with Smosh at the time, until eventually both land a double KO. Now they're both down and out, and this stillness of the arena sits there. And the ref's counting, and at the very last second, Rocky stands up. See, that's where the heart comes into play. Rocky had the biggest heart. He definitely was motivated enough to improve, but he had the biggest heart in that ring. The same way, Rocky eventually overtakes Smosh. And while it probably wasn't as dramatic as it's being played out in Rocky, once again, it's a direct metaphor. Now on to Rocky 3. Little hint, Rocky 3 is where we currently are in PewDiePie's career. So, once again, just like the second one, it begins right where this second one ends with the fight. I'm getting tongue twisted. Anywho, the third Rocky begins at the ending of the second Rocky. Recapping the fight, showing Rocky beat Apollo Crews, celebrating in the ring with Adrian, to then go into a montage showing Rocky beating all these different champions and newspaper clippings and everything like that, showing Rocky defending his title all around the world and all that. Not Rocky wins here, Rocky pummels, while then it slowly introduces us to a certain man in the crowd who learn his name later on, Clubber Lang, played by Mr. T, or if you will, Mr. T-Series. Anyway, so what we soon find out later on, when he gets called out by the young, hungry Clubber Lang, that Rocky's being a protected champ. All those people that we saw in the montage, they were fake champions. They were paper fighters. They weren't real challengers. Clubber Lang is the real challenge. The same way every single threat to PewDiePie's throne, or potential threat to PewDiePie's throne that he pummeled, they were all fake. They did not have anything real. Logan Paul, Jake Paul, Ryan's Toy Reviews, Rice Gums, the Wall Street Journal, all the mainstream media coming after PewDiePie, they were all fake challenges. None of them could even topple him. Every now and then they might sort of graze him, but nothing. He had nothing. The same way, from fighting all those easy fights and fighting all those easy people and beating all those easy people, he just became complacent. He lost the hunger, he lost the drive, he lost the motivation. And we see that play out. So you see, Clubber Lang eventually calls him out, and then they have their boxing match. And sadly, Clubber Lang beats Rocky. Now, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes on with Rocky's trainer having a heart attack on his way to the ring, but Clubber Lang beats Rocky. In the same way that, inevitably, I'm sorry to be the one to break the news, T-Series is gonna overtake PewDiePie. But lament not one bit, because by knowing what's going on, we know how to beat Mr. T-Series. Now let me explain. You see, moments after Rocky loses to Clubber Lang, he's sitting in a locker room in the shadows. His trainer has just died. He's lost his title. Rocky gets absolutely pummeled. The fight doesn't even make it to the final round. Rocky gets destroyed, obliterated by Clubber Lang. He's just sitting there nursing his wounds, nursing his broken heart, his broken pride. And then we hear a familiar voice shout out from the shadows, until eventually we see who steps out of the shadows. It's Rocky's old nemesis, Apollo Creed.
That's not the way to do it.
Who's that?
But you hit it straight, huh? Step into it.
Apollo?
Right. I waited at your house for about an hour and your wife said you might be here.
What are you doing here?
Business.
Now, what is actually going to happen for PewDiePie? I'm thinking it's going to be like, you know, PewDiePie perhaps sitting around in his apartment. Or maybe sitting around somewhere, just reflecting on his loss to T-Series. When he hears a voice from the shadows, and out steps from the shadows Smosh. Hear me out. So then what Smosh is going to do is Smosh says, look, when you beat me, Rocky, you were hungry, you had drive, you had the eye of the tiger, and you lost it. You got complacent, you got easy. Life was easy, life was good. You didn't have that same drive, that same motivation. I know you can get that back. I know you can beat Clubber Lang. I know you can beat T-Series. And so what happens, you know, throughout the rest of Rocky 3 is, you know, he gets taken down to, I'm imagining, you know, the guys from Smosh will take him down to Anthony and, what's his name? I don't remember the guys from Smosh. Nick or something? I don't know. They take him down to maybe a VidCon and they walk around and they show him all the different up-and-coming YouTubers and they're all amazed to see them. They dream for just a percentage of the success that both Smosh and PewDiePie have had. He needs to learn from the basics. He needs to start from the bottom. He needs to learn what it's like to be hungry again. And inevitably, he will beat T-Series. PewDiePie might lose the race to 90 million, but 100 million is where PewDiePie comes back, and that is where we roll into Rocky 4, sorry. I can't count. Rocky 4, which I'm personally more excited than any of the previous installments for this next chapter of PewDiePie's career after he loses and then wins the rematch against Mr. T-Series. Because that's where PewDiePie will single-handedly fix like world relations with Russia through one video, maybe a diss track or something, I don't know. When he comes up against the new Russian tyrant representatives, Ivan Drago, I don't know who it's going to be. We don't know who's the next around the corner. We know it's coming from Russia, and we know PewDiePie's going to beat them. Because if we can get along, I can't remember what Rocky's speech is at the end of that, but it's pretty lame. But yeah, and that's what's going on with PewDiePie vs T-Series. Yeah, this is a bit of a crackpot video, a bit of a boring video. I've been absent for a long time. I guess I'll do an update later on. I'm going to do it's pretty lame, but I'm going to do a 60 subscriber special because it's a fucking thing that I hit. I'll probably explain there my absence. This kind of video I just want to get out for the sake of getting a video out, but also to alert the masses to what's actually going on. I promise you more content coming soon, more regularly and everything. Who am I promising? I'm promising myself, if anything. I'm babbling. I'll tell you what, I'll just sign off here. Like, share, subscribe, dislike if you think I'm a crackpot. Hey, leave me an interesting comment. Maybe ask me a question for my 60 sub special coming up. But can you do this?